Okay, this is Ed in San Diego, and Dr. Ken Lloyd is in San Fernando Valley, part of LA, and in Phoenix is Stephen Howard. Stephen Howard is the author of 25 books, just published the most recent one, and I'm going to ask him to display the front cover when he gets around to it. My screen share is open, and congratulations on that. He is an acclaimed reader, an author of business leadership books and has won all kinds of awards and has a really successful speaking business right now. And I'm going to ask him to talk about that in a few minutes. Dr. Ken Lloyd is PhD in organizational development. My tongue gets in the way here, Ken. I'm sorry. I can't think of it all and say it right anymore. And I'm not reading this, obviously, so I'm just stumbling around. So, Ken, why don't you explain your background and your new book coming out in December?
Sure. And again, Mehibe, it's very nice to meet you. And thank you for joining today. And we'll be talking about high energy and low energy teams, which should be an interesting, interesting topic. Yeah, my background is UC Berkeley grad, at UCLA, a PhD in org development. Was in consulting for many years, joined a client about 20 years ago, stayed with a client firm as a VP of employee planning and development. Written several business books, some dealing with selling, persuasion, difficult people at work, and a couple of dummies books. The newest book that's going to come out is a dummies book. It's the newest edition of performance appraisals and phrases for dummies. It's going to come out in December. Fun book to write because so much has happened since the first edition. And I was glad to put in more about the forward focus that these appraisals now have, as opposed to the dreaded annual appraisal. It's very different now with continuous feedback, with much more coaching, focus on career development and those kinds of components. And I had a newspaper column, a workplace advice column for about 20 years, syndicated by the New York Times Syndicate for 10 of those years, and taught in the MBA program on a part-time basis over at UCLA for a number of years as well. And that's it.
That's great. So, maybe you are a consultant. I would think it's not exclusive to women, but most of your clients are females. And are they basically younger women or older women?
Yes, yes. So I would describe myself as a leadership and mindset coach, as opposed to a consultant. So I partner primarily with women. I mean, I'm 39 and a bit. So in terms of age, there are mainly women that are sort of around my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, but generally females and, some males, but primarily females between, 30 to 50. Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. So tell the world of our audience out there about your retreat uh, idea. And it's already begun and now continuing, as I understand it.
Yes. So Miriam Van Kempen, she's my business partner and co-creator of Be Her Retreats. And this retreat is bringing together women in global mobility space. So it doesn't have to be global mobility managers per se, but women that are operating in the space, including HR, learning and development, and DEI as well. And essentially, the first retreat is happening next Thursday until next Sunday, so 24th to 27th in Barcelona Hilltops. We have a private estate. And this is a chance for women to prioritize themselves, recharge their energy, focus on their development. I'm running 3 workshops over the 3 days to support ourselves, to build our confidence and really allow ourselves an opportunity to take down the masks, because it is really tiring trying to be everyone and everything to all people in our life, especially as a woman. If you've got a family, you've got kids, you're working and you're trying to running a house, there's a lot to think about. So this is their time. So we've got 10 courageous women coming next Thursday. We might have another few. And it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a great time, not just group coaching, but breath work. We've got partners coming in to lead some yoga. We've got a private chef on site. So it's going to be pretty cool, I think. And yeah, we're very excited.
That's a wonderful portrayal of all that action and thinking and all the planning. I remember a year ago or so when we first got together on TV here, when we had that wonderful talk. That's when there was a dream, but not in action, and you guys have put it together. Congratulations. So
Thank
let me
you.
ask you a couple of man type questions about your
We're all
action.
human. We're all human, right? Male or female, we all want to
Yeah.
prioritize ourselves. We all want to feel good. We all want to enjoy life. You know, we all need to be vulnerable. But yeah, please fire away with your man question.
Okay, so the way you talk about her, in your wonderful accent, um, her meaning uh, the dealing with the imposter syndrome. People want to be more active, more bright, more cheerful, more understanding, and that's her, not me. It's another person. So how do we get over that bridge? That's what you're teaching. Is that right?
Yeah, so I think let me clarify what be her means. The her in the brand actually means being you, but it's the aspirational side of you. So actually, if we think about imposter syndrome and those things that impact or affect our lack of confidence, is holding us back from becoming her. So when I say her, it's when Miriam and I refer to her, it's actually not the imposter. It is that version of yourself that you really want to be. You know, that version of yourself where you've got good energy, where you don't have to worry about what mask you need to put on. You don't need to worry about being somebody else. You can just be her. So actually, when we say be her, we do mean it in a positive regard in terms of becoming that version of yourself that may feel like it's impossible actually, but it is possible with the right support and the help. So I would say that imposter syndrome is something that we are tackling, you know, as part of the retreat in the group coaching, but that is a challenge or a fear that we will overcome together or start to address together to become her, and her is the aspirational me.
Got it. Now, how did you get to this space where you are today from a year or two ago? Uh, what was the bridge under which you went or over to the other side where it was just a dream and now it's in action?
Mm. So is that question referring to the retreat specifically or my coaching or a bit of both?
Well, I think the retreats, and of course you can add in information about
Yeah.
your coaching business.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a really timely question actually, because every Wednesday and Friday, Miriam and I post on LinkedIn to promote the retreats, to give this beautiful opportunity for women to come and prioritize themselves and their energy. And Miriam had initially put in actually in the post today that this was something we thought about a year ago. And actually, if we put our hand on our heart, Miriam came to me with this idea in April. And so in 6 months, this has become a reality. So I may have had a dream or planted a seed to potentially do a retreat, but in my mind, I thought, oh, that's something that I can do in the next 5 years. However, with a lot of courage, determination, and energy going into designing this schedule and finding partners and all of the resources, actually, we've made it happen in 6 months. So I hope that also shows that you don't need, thank you don't need a huge amount of time actually to bring something creative to the table. And yeah, it won't be completely perfect. You know, there'll be loads of things that we can improve and make better for next time. But ultimately, in 6 months, we've been able to find somewhere to house people, you know, find partners to come in and support energy levels for other women. We've found someone to come and cook privately for us all day. And we've been able to put that together in such a short amount of time. So, you know, in terms of me being her, yeah, I'm also challenging myself, you know, that aspirational me that can be in a space to inspire and aspire other women to also be courageous and step outside of their comfort zone and embrace uncertainty, because I didn't know how to organize a retreat 6 months ago, but I do now. So it's it's a life is an adventure, right? And if you don't put a foot in to try, then you'll just never know. So I'm very proud of the work that we've done in the last 6 months to bring this to life.
That's great. I want to introduce you to Atika, who's coming to us from Sweden. Hello, Atika. Would you like to be visual or just speak with us? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hello,
So,
Atika. We Atika's an amazing woman. She is a woman with
yes,
uniquity, I
indeed.
would say.
Indeed. I've been fortunate to have her presence and participation on a few shows. Welcome.
Thanks, Ed. And I would like to say that I was very happy to attend this session today with Mehibe as a guest. I mean, as a participant, yes. And the energy that Mehibe brings to everything that she does, her post, if somebody's not following, then please do, because they are really a lift up that you need every day. They are amazing, to the point. So, and I missed this year going to the retreat, but for sure next year I'm there.
How
Thank you so
interesting.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Ken Lloyd, this is right up your alley, isn't it? This kind of a conversation. Please take it from here.
Well, I just would really go along with what Mehibe said in terms here. She's putting together this wonderful event, but just by the action she's taken, she's demonstrated so many key points that are underlying the theme of the event by going out, as you said, leaving your comfort zone, going into an entirely new area, and putting this project, which became a reality together in such a short period of time, just shows you get an idea, a vision, a plan, you set goals, strategies, and you can do it. And not that this is certainly the first time you've ever done anything like this. I sense this has been your career path all along, but it's quite inspirational for those who attend to see, look what happened here. So in addition to any other content and discussions and the sessions that you have, the mere existence of this event that you've put together with your associate just shows, yes, you can do this. And I think it's a great message and a great event, which I already know is going to be very successful. I can tell.
Stephen.
Thank you, Ken. Really appreciate it.
I love it. I echo Ken's positive that it's going to be successful, and next year's will be even more successful. You have one under your belt and know how to make it better and get the feedback from the 10 or 12, 15 participants that you have. You know, your story reminds me, Mehibe, I was coaching a woman in Mexico during COVID to write a book. I was challenging her to write a book. And when we first discussed the idea, she says, okay, now I think this was in March or April, the beginning of COVID. And she says, okay, I think I can get something done in maybe in a year. She published her first book in 7 months. She published a second one 6 months after that. She's published a third one, I think about 7 or 8 months after that. And now she's got the fourth one out. And I heard from her the other day, she's starting to work on her fifth book. So she's, just having a good partner who pushes you a little bit, not being pushy, but pushes and shows you what can be accomplished in the creative processes. I think you've got a good partner there that has helped you create something in 6 months where your initial thinking was, this is a year project. So that's kudos to you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so Stephen, why don't you display that front cover and tell us about your brand new book, and we'll tell the world that will watch this program later today and tomorrow and next week and the week after.
Happy to, Ed. I guess got to find the right. Oh, sorry, I got the wrong screen here. Here we go. I got 2 monitors going. Here's the new book cover, which this book came out a few days ago. And it's on Amazon now. And for those of you listening and watching, It's on the friends, family, and colleagues rate this week at $7.50. And next week it'll pop up to $17.50, which is the regular retail price. So if you want to grab it this week, save yourself $10. But the concept here, human is a word I created, combining human, humanity, and harmony. I originally, and interesting, Mehibe focuses on mindsets as well. I originally created a concept called human leadership. And the subtitle of that book was Mindsets, Skills, and Behaviors for Being a People-Centric Coach. People-Centric Leader. And I've taken that concept now and applied it to all of us in terms of how we interact with one another from a human standpoint. And the focus of this book basically says that by changing our mindsets of how we interact with people, we can change the world. We can't solve world peace. We can't solve the Middle East crisis. We can't solve hunger and poverty, but we can make our communities better. We can make our schools better. We can make our religious institutions better. We can make our neighborhoods better. Just how we interact with each other in terms of the four pillars of this are compassion, kindness, respect, and peacefulness. And, you know, here in the United States, I've only been back about 5 months now permanently, but people are so, what's the right word I'm looking for? They're half cocked to go off. You know, the littlest thing sets people off. You know, you see people at sporting events beating up each other. You see at the happiest place in the world, Disney World, you see fights breaking out between visitors or between visitors and the park staff. I mean, we're just crazy, and we need to calm down a little bit, approach people with a bit more peacefulness. As I said, compassion, kindness, respect, also acceptance, and then obviously with harmony, you know, just being harmony with each other. So thanks, Ed. That's the gist of the new book. I'll pull this down because I know it eats up a lot of your bandwidth, but I'm happy to talk about it if anybody has any questions, comments.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Mehibe, do you want to comment on that?
I'm excited to read your book. I'm going to order it. I've already written down the title there. Do you know what really resonated for me, Stephen, was the values that you highlighted in terms of, you know, approaching it from compassion, you know, self-kindness, kindness, respect. And I thought these are the things that I talk about. You know, I talk about so much. I talk about compassion and kindness so much because these are the values, or these are the ways of living, not only for each other, but for ourselves. And it starts with ourselves, right? If you can show yourself self-kindness, if you can show yourself self-compassion, then actually you've got more capacity to do the same for others. And, you know, I completely agree with you that unfortunately a lot of us are in a kind of what I would call in a volcano mode state, right? You're just like one thing and it's like, you know, ready to go off. And because we just don't take enough time to connect back to ourselves and to appreciate what we have, you know, to be really present and just be so grateful for everything that we have in our life and to connect human to human. And I moved from London to Barcelona 4 years ago, and one thing I've noticed is that every time I step out of my house, I wave at someone. I wave at the guy who makes me coffee on this side. I wave at the lady on this side that makes me my espresso shot on the way to swimming. You know, I say bon dia and hello in Spanish to the chap who serves the newspapers. I don't know any of these people, but there's these little moments in life where we can connect with humans and we don't even need to say very much. And so I'm with you when you say all of us can make an impact and a difference in everyone's lives, because if we showed each other more compassion and kindness and appreciation and joy, then surely we'd be living in a world that was just nicer to be in, and it would be easier as well. So I'm really looking forward to reading your book, because I can see it resonates with me so much already.
Well, thank you. And you're an example of what in the book, I call it the power of five. And it just to illustrate, if you say hello to 5 people, you're kind and compassionate to 5 people, particularly early in the day. And if each one of them replicated that and was nice to 5 other people, now you've indirectly impacted 30 people. You're 5 plus the other 25. And then if each of those 5 or each of those 25 would do the same thing, that would be another 125. So now you're up to 155. And and I realize not everyone will do 5, but so in the book, I kind of show, well, what if some people do 4? Some people do 3 a day. You know, we can indirectly impact up to 3,000 people a day just in our own small parts of the world. That's just one of us. And so if all 4 of us today did that, that would be 12,000 people. And, you know, this thing just escalates. So I appreciate your input. And your experience is very similar. When I lived in Mexico City and I'd go for my morning walk, everyone says buen dia or buenos dias or buenos tardes or whatever, depending on the time of day, but everyone looks at you. And I notice here in the US, when I take a walk, about a third of the people that I pass going different direction will have their head down, not looking at their phones. They just don't want to make eye contact. And as soon as I get within 2 feet of them, I'll say good morning. Maybe half of those will say good morning. The other half will just ignore like they didn't hear it and keep on walking. So we need to just be kind to each other, be more compassionate, identify, acknowledge each other as human beings, because we're all part of the Homo sapiens fraternity. And we have more in common than differences. So anyway, I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox there, Ed.
That's all right. That's all right. So Mehibe, tell us about energy, because that's part of your consulting now, isn't it? How to find energy or how to change where you spend energy. Isn't that correct?
I talk about energy management, you know, being able to self-regulate energy as opposed to being productive or, you know, being time efficient. I believe that we've been programmed as kids throughout our life into society that there is this thing around time. You know, you've got to be productive for 8 hours or 9 hours every day at work. You know, you've got the particular schedules, you show up at this time, you leave at this time, and you need to do this, 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 and this. And that to-do list is growing. And there's just so much pressure around checklists that we're creating. And it's severely impacting our ability to manage our own energy. And so in the work that I'm doing for myself and for others, I have had a lot of coaching around my relationship with time and my relationship with productivity, because I think that productivity as a term is just ridiculous. It was created for the production line. You know, it was created in factories. It was created to automate, and we are not machines. You know, I write about that regularly, that we are humans. And so I cannot guarantee that the things that I set out to do today will get done, because I am not able to necessarily understand as well how much energy I need to put into certain tasks, or how much energy that's going to take from me. So what I support people to do is to think about, okay, if you can manage your energy by taking care of yourself, how does that impact your value creation? How does that create mental space? How does that help you to be creative? How does that help you to focus? How does that help you to partner with your team or your clients? And so instead of being so time and productivity focused, actually understanding what are my energy inputs, like what gives me energy? Going swimming, going to Pilates, seeing my friends, having my downtime, spending time with my partner. Those things give me energy. And so I can then put in energy to the things that I want to create value from or to. And so, yes, I don't have time anymore for my work, because I'm a coach trainer and a coach mentor. So I also work evenings through the week, and sometimes on the weekends when I'm delivering training. And so for me, I need to understand if I'm giving a lot of energy out, then I need to take some time back to give myself energy in different ways, whether that's exercising, resting, napping, you know, nutrition. So if we can get to a place where we're actually thinking more on how we can support our well-being, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional health to give us the energy that we need, then maybe we'd be having a different conversation when we are looking at, okay, well, why is it that people aren't doing everything they're supposed to be doing? Why is it that people are burnt out at work? Why is it that people are not feeling inspired or motivated in the workplace or even in their personal lives? And it's because we've got these checklists, and it's draining. It's just draining us all. And it's time to get creative and you know, just reshape time and our relationship with time and productivity, because it's almost for me, it almost doesn't exist. It's just like a concept that we have attached something to, and actually it doesn't work for us. It's creating really, really bad habits and poor mental and emotional, physical health.
I want to talk about energy and regeneration of energy. Like, for instance, I'll just talk about me for a second. I was up today for the third time, and then I finally stayed up about 4 a.m. here in California. And very productive time between now and a few hours ago. But the energy level dissipates because, you know, my age as well as my needs. So I figured out, okay, power naps are good too. But what I've done is break around my 12 noon, and Joanne and I go for a walk, usually out in the harbor area, looking at the water and looking at boats or whatever, the planes take off. And we have a lunch somewhere, and you know, usually a taco or a salad. But when I get back here, say 3 p.m., my 3 p.m., I'm ready to jump in the hot tub or go swimming. But what I've started to do is to have an orange, peel an orange, and look at incoming email. And I'll tell you, that is the thing that has launched me to be more productive after having that orange and going up to happy hour. And so that's like a routine rather than just sit down and put my head down and look at the screen and answer emails or do stuff, which turns out to be counterproductive for me. What do you think of that idea, Mehibe?
I wonder if you put it out to the rest of it. I feel like I'm hogging a lot of airtime. Maybe somebody else could share their point of view.
Well, they're certainly welcome it, but you wanted to talk about energy, so I want to give you the stage here.
That is very true. That is very true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe I'll share what I see, and then I'll open it out to my lovely colleagues that are here today. I'm just noticing that you have understood what works for you throughout the day. That's not what I would call an atypical day of somebody who is an entrepreneur or is a leader in an atypical kind of workplace. And you've noticed that you get joy from peeling an orange, something so simple, so mindful, so peaceful. And you have a routine that is dynamic as well. So perhaps noticing, Ed, what gives you the energy, and noticing that, you know, it's not one particular thing. It is dynamic. Not everything that you're doing in the day is just sitting behind a computer for 8 hours, which is what we've been programmed to do now, unfortunately, in society. Is we sit at the computer to be productive. But actually what I was hearing from you was you are creating value. You create value in certain times of the day, and that's because you've taken energy from your walk, from your orange, from your power nap, from spending time with your loved one. These are energy givers, and then you can give energy into creating value for work.
Thank you. That's really nice. Atika's phone just went out. Now she's coming back in. Good. Ken, what do you think about this discussion? And would you like to talk about dysfunctions of a team and how to correct it?
Well, interesting set of questions here. The discussion is wonderful. To me, the human side of this, the self-insights, the understanding are critical to it. We need to understand as individuals what is physically and mentally or psychologically energizing to us. And it's funny how for me personally, the more I'm doing, the more I get energized. I should be getting tired, but if it's truly interesting and motivational and satisfying, the depletion of energy is less likely to occur. In fact, it can even increase as you go on, again, whether it's physically or mentally. But we have to understand what is truly energizing to us as individuals and to capitalize on that, and not to let ourselves get distracted by components or elements or, in quotes, demands. As you're talking about, you get this work done 8 hours a day, check, 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 check. Let's take a look at the human side of this, because we didn't evolve off of checklists. That's not how humans came to be where they are. And bigger picture is somehow I wish that what Stephen articulated in his newest book could certainly be internalized by individuals, and we'd see them in workshops. But beyond that, how in the world can we get this to the, if I don't even like the term influencers, but leaders of the world, to understand that this is what this planet should be? And I look at the dreadful conflict and crises and wars and death unnecessarily going on in this world, and think, if these leaders would simply go along and understand and live by the kind of principles that Mehibe's articulating, Stephen's articulating today, what a wonderful place this would be. Yes, people are on edge now, and I agree with you. You drive on the freeway, you accidentally turn to get off, and someone thinks you cut them off. My brother got off the freeway here in LA. He was followed for probably 40 minutes by someone who thought he had offended him. My brother finally drove to a police station. I mean, it's insanity. People, as you said, Mehibe, are absolutely volcanic, and they're just waiting for that one little fuse to light. And it's a shame, because the kind of thinking and discussion about energy and about humanity would really help this world for people to truly internalize this message. So for me, it's a wonderful message. I just wish and hope that somehow it could be more widely understood and applied. And then we all could work more productively as a team without having these elements in a team, without having energy, without having humanity. We're not gonna have a team. We're gonna have a group, and who knows where it's gonna go, how effective it's gonna be, as opposed to the key factors that pull them together and unify them in terms of sense of purpose and respect and trust and goals moving forward. So actually there's a theme that binds all of this. I just truly wish it could go much, much wider. But again, as Stephen said, go to 1, go to 5, go to thousands, and maybe we can have a good impact here.
Stephen?
Stephen, you're muted.
I was trying, I hit it 3 times and it wasn't working. As we say in Australia, good on you, Ken. The word I was looking for earlier is spring loaded, although I love the inner volcano. So Mehibe, I am going to steal that from you. I'm giving you fair warning now. I will use that in the future. I'll give you credit for it. You know, linking this together a little bit, particularly about teams, and you know, if you think about us as individuals, when is our brain the most rested when it comes into the workplace? And unless you've had a really heavy weekend of partying, that tends to be Monday morning, quite frankly. I mean, the brain is refreshed, you know, particularly if people have gotten outdoors and gotten some fresh air and done some exercise and done some family things and whatever. But the brain is not as stressed Monday morning. We don't like Monday mornings, but the brain is refreshed. So I've started coaching people, stop having Monday morning status meetings first thing, because you're wasting all that brain energy on routine stuff. You should have your brainstorm meetings on Monday mornings. You should have your innovation, creativity, collaboration meetings on Monday morning. So I've been coaching people, have those status meetings after lunch on Monday or just before lunch, whatever suits your environment, your workplace culture, or on Fridays. I've got a lot of people now doing end of the week status review meetings of what did we accomplish and what are we going to do next week? You know, kind of ending the week on that. And that has 2 effects. One, it frees up time on Monday morning, but you know, our brains are pretty amazing. And if you have a discussion on Friday afternoon about what you want to accomplish in the next week, even though you may not consciously be thinking about it, subconsciously the brain is still working and it will still be thinking of ideas. And that's why so often we come up with creative solutions in the shower or driving the car when we're not focused on a problem. So just kind of linking the together, the bringing that energy. And the last comment I'd make is understanding ourselves. I know that, like Ed, I get up, I start work between 5 and 5:30 every day. And I know come 4 o'clock, I'm brain dead, I'm tired. So I've learned not to make significant decisions between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock unless I get that power nap. If I get that 25, 35-minute power nap. But if I don't, then if all possible, I will postpone a decision till the next morning because I know I make less than optimal decisions after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so knowing ourselves is also key.
Atika, thank you for being on the program. So your business, Hitachi, is it mostly wind power?
No, it's power generation in all forms. So we are supporting the industry with products, services, and technology for power generation. And more, we are moving towards the greener, renewable energy. So, of course, we are into all kind of power generation, and it is a lot of technology. So I would like to say that behind every light bulb in the world, there is the technology of Hitachi Energy, for sure. So that is very
That's
powerful.
really interesting. Wow, I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
Yeah. So how many
Yes.
people do you get involved with around the world? What is your reach, you personally in your position in HR and benefits and mobility?
Yes, so we have around about 400 assignments in a running year. It could be more, it could be less. So yes, but it's not just the assignments, international assignments that we are connected. So we are connected with the wider HR community, with the business community. So we have around 4,500 plus employees. And soon this year it would be 6,000 something employees. So yeah, so it's a huge workforce, and of course there are consultants as well. But when I want to bring together some points from Mehibe, from Stephen, starting with when Mehibe mentioned that about productivity, because we are knowledge workers, most of us who are here, and our productivity cannot be measured. And that is, we are then in the current, where it actually stems from is that we are judged on the parameters of productivity, which do not apply to us. And then we are aiming to achieve those goals which do not align with our work or the satisfaction level that it should create. And then we are on the hamster wheel. We are running, we are achieving in that unattainable goal that we will probably never achieve. But at the same time, and that makes us forget what is important for us to renew our energy and to take a moment to actually look at things which are not related to work, which are just basic human kindness, and take out a moment to just, if your mind is too blocked with achieving and being productive, it is natural that you just cannot stop and take a break. And when you talk about, Stephen, about taking a power nap, or Edwin, that you take a nice walk, it's the way that we should do, and everybody in organizations should make that as part of their working culture, to have those breaks. I read a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, like 4 years back. And in my calendar from 12 to 2, I block the time as deep work. And ask me how many times I have taken that deep work. Not many. I use that time to either, something very important, I have to book a meeting. Okay, all right, I have this time, I'll book you in. But since when I came, and that added to a lot of stress and took away a lot of my energy that is not coming back to me. So I had to reclaim my space when I took a break, a complete break during summer. For 27 days, I was in the US and it was a complete break. I didn't work at all. That was what my brain needed to really refocus, reset. And when I came back, I really can say I was a new person because I I made good on taking those 2 hours. Those 2 hours are really important to me for my work. It's not that I'm chilling and not doing things, but it is for my focused work, really, for the projects that I'm doing, that I need no disturbance on. And nowadays, the technology also supports us. I put the focus on, no message or no pings come to me, and I can focus. And there is my, you know, energy that's coming back to me. And also about the human connection. I feel that when we don't have time, when we are all the time thinking about being productive, then we that that moment, like Mehibe mentioned in one of her posts, that she was out and there was some person who needed help, and she not just help but asked that person, how are you doing? That one thing that resonated so much with me, that that one moment you changed the other person's entire day, and by sharing it, she changed other people's perspective also. She didn't do it for saying that she's a very nice person, that she is, but that single act of kindness would, like Stephen said, for your 5 acts, that was that sharing of that also was so important, because that reminded me that I need to take out time to think and go one step ahead to do it.
Well, you know
Sorry,
what? I remember when you called me, when you responded to me when you were in the US, and now that I
yeah.
know that you are trying to diffuse and you still took my call and answered my emails in the early days of our getting to know each other a few months ago. Thank you so much. If I were with you, I'd want to hug you right now. So there we go.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, so sweet.
We have
Can
around
I say
50,
something, Ed, based on
yeah,
what
yeah,
Atika's
yeah,
just
but
kindly
just
shared?
as a point, as a management point, I need to stop this at the top of the hour because you're going to disappear, I think. And so I'm trying to narrow down the megabytes. So please take the stage.
Mm. I was just wanted to share something that Atika's reminded me, but I feel that it's coming through everything that we're sharing together today, which is it takes so much courage for us to change the way that we do things, right? We're talking about essentially shifting and providing another perspective, another way of being and living to people in a world where we don't feel like we have enough time as a concept. And that I wrote an article as part of my Courageous Chronicles newsletter on LinkedIn, and I couldn't believe how the simple mention of taking a lunch break has been one of the things as a feedback point that everyone keeps coming back to me with. Taking a break or taking their actual lunch. It feels like an absolute given that we can do this and we should do this, because also reminding ourselves we don't get paid for our lunch hour. I mean, we're working for free for somebody else, for somebody else's company usually, or their purpose or their mission. And we deprioritize ourselves and our energy to give to somebody else or an organization. But it takes a lot of courage to prioritize yourself and to say, right, enough is enough. I need to look after myself. And by doing so, that courage is contagious. And so if we can all do these things, like Stephen was saying, if we can do 5 things that are courageous that day to say hello to someone or connect with someone, and even just taking that break, maybe then we can be a role model and inspire others to do the same for their energy. So I just feel that it takes a lot of courage. It's not easy to do the things that we're talking about today, but it can be done.
So please tell us about the derivation of your name. It's so unusual and beautiful.
My name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mehibe, I was named after my auntie, actually. My parents are Turkish. And I'll let you in on something, actually, in terms of the meaning of my name. So in India, I think in a part of India, it means sunshine and light. And then I was also told by a lady who was from the Middle East, I can't remember exactly where, but she said to me, did you know that your name means to give love from one human to another? And I met this woman 3.5 years ago when I was doing a retreat here, actually, when I took a sabbatical when I moved here and I just took time out for myself. And she said to me, after knowing you for 4 days, if I have a daughter, I'm going to name her Mehibe. So maybe there's another Mehibe out there that's been born. I don't know. But I've never really met anyone with my name because I was named after my auntie Mehibe, and my parents kind of adjusted it to try and make it a bit more kind of Western and easier to pronounce. So that's where that name comes from.
Fascinating. Wow. Atika, what's the derivation of your first name?
Yes, so my name is it's a very old Arab name, and it's from pre-Islamic era. It's and it means brave. So yeah, so yeah, I've always been told that like Mehibe is, I can say, is an embodiment of what her name stands for. Um, and I've been told many times. So I have kind to look, live it up, being brave. But yeah, it's a unique name. There are I think I have only met one Atika, and there was one Atika who was a BBC correspondent. So one time I reached the airport and they asked, "Are you that Atika?" It's like, no, not me.
No,
So
it's
yeah.
very interesting. Yeah. So my first name has English roots, and but I don't know of any relatives who are English. So, so my relatives are sort of mongrel, going back a long time into Eastern Europe, and Southern Europe, meaning Italy and Greece, but with a mix of uh, what's used to be East Germany, but I don't know. I'm just a mutt, a mongrel, a mixture. So we have just a few minutes left. Do you want to talk about a dysfunctional team, anybody? Boy. So anyway, this guy, Patrick Lencioni, said, I'm going to read this. Healthy conflict enables teams to bring it all, and bring all team knowledge and opinions to the surface, which he says leads to better decisions. But that doesn't happen right away, does it, Ken?
It depends on the organization and the individuals. Conflict can be very, very healthy because it shows we have the right to express our opinions. It might be in disagreement with whoever may have called the meeting or even be, in quotes, running it. But we have to have that freedom to go on. Conflict is fine. When conflict escalates and turns into battles, then it's a whole different thing. So we also, yes, conflict is good. We should have disagreements. We should be looking at different points of view. But what if it gets to the point where people are yelling and screaming? And that's conflict. And I've seen meetings like that. That's not productive. That's not helpful. So it also has to be some ground rules. Yeah, we can disagree. Certainly, let's do it. We're going to get more creative and more productive decisions that way. At the same time, let's be respectful and let's honor each other's positions and points, and let's truly listen and let's empathize. It's just nice to have some, if you will, emotional intelligence in these meetings as well, because then we can have conflict and disagreements, but at the same time, there's a core understanding that has empathy in it, that has listening, that has two-way communication. Then it's fine. So straight embattlement is not productive. It's not going to help. It's going to lead to even more negative outcomes. But some conflict and disagreement, openness, definitely a plus and definitely a positive. Because if we're in a meeting and everyone is just sitting there and nodding and smiling, guess what? It's not a productive or effective meeting at all. People don't care. Whether it's in a meeting of two people, well, we never argue. What a great relationship. No, it's not. It just means you've lost the passion and the compassion to really get involved in it. It's the same thing in a meeting. So we want some different points of view, different opinions, different ways of looking at it, and that should be rewarded. Kind of looking at the meetings more as brainstorming, but within reason. I guess reasonable is a factor to have in mind, and just to build that way, so that it's the same thing. Anything that goes to an extreme, you can take any positive, push it to an extreme, and it can become a negative. Person's very confident. That's great. They're arrogant. They're bullying. They think they're no. That's not. So confidence is great. Push to an extreme, it's a problem. Same thing. Yeah, conflict can be terrific. Push it to an extreme, a real problem. So that's what we really want to keep an eye out for in the meetings. Hold it in there,
So,
but make sure it's not going crazy.
so Stephen, humany is the answer.
Well, yeah, because humany has harmony in it. And but you know what Ken says is absolutely right. And there's a huge difference between cognitive conflict, which is the conflict over ideas and opinions and viewpoints, versus personal conflict, which escalates into name calling and belittling and you know, shooting people down. Cognitive conflict, as Ken said, is very powerful. It's a way of brainstorming, adding to people's ideas. You know, Google did research, I think it came out in 2022, that said the number one single factor for team performance is psychological safety. And that, by the way they defined it, it meant that people could speak up without being shot down or belittled. It meant people could admit to mistakes and share their mistakes so they weren't replicated and repeated by others without being punished for those mistakes. So turn them into learning opportunities for everybody, where people felt they belonged, people felt they could contribute. And so you add that psychological safety into there, and also a good leader will facilitate meetings in such a way that turns questions into clarifying questions instead of pushback questions. And part of that is nonverbal language. If I asked Mehibe, why are we doing that? And shaking the head is kind of a pushback. But if I said, hey, interesting, why are we going this direction? Why are we doing that? Means I want to clarify. I want to know the background. I want to know the details. I want to know the why behind it. Because if I'm a middle manager, I need to go implement that. And if I have that information, but too many leaders treat all questions as pushback and instead of clarifying questions. And that leads to personal conflict rather than cognitive conflict.
And not to get into the political side of this, but I literally just read yesterday that if she is elected president of the United States, that Kamala is going to put some Republicans in the cabinet. Okay. I think that's terrific, as opposed to bringing in a bunch of people who are going to sit and nod in agreement. You don't want to be surrounded by sycophants if you really want to have growth, development, and advancement. Again, not to push one side's political views, but I just thought that was an interesting point as we put together teams to make sure that we are being as diverse as we can be in every sense of the word.
I think it's going to be an interesting choice of who she selects to be Secretary of State. Being a woman, and there's a lot of nasty woman haters out there in different countries these days, and some here, of course, but they're all going to try to take advantage of President Harris pretty quick, I'm afraid. So it's really going to be an interesting display. Stephen, what do you think of that wild and crazy idea?
Well, unfortunately, part of it is true in that, you know, there are women haters, just like there's racists, just like there's people who hate people of different religious viewpoints or different sexual orientation. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wrote the new book, The Humany Mindset, is that one of the key foundations of the Humany Mindset is acceptance. Accept people for who they are. You don't have to agree with them. You know, I don't have to agree with your lifestyle, but I have to accept that you've made that decision. It's your choice. You're doing what you want to do. And, you know, I don't agree with a lot of people, but they're still friends. I still accept them. So acceptance is a huge component to that. I don't think when who she picks as Secretary of State needs to be a gender choice. I'm not sure that other countries will try and take advantage of a woman leader. We've had so many strong women leaders over the years. I mean, we've had Benazir Bhutto in Pakistan. We had Jacinda I can't remember the name, Alden or whatever. Sorry, apologize. With the lady who was Prime Minister of New Zealand for many, many years. Of course, you've got the old Iron Horse, Margaret Thatcher. Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister for many years. So, you know, you go around the world, there have been many, many female prime ministers. I don't think any of them were walked over by men or women, quite frankly. So, and of course, we've had some very strong female secretaries of state. You know, Hillary Clinton, the one before her. Again, my mind's not working this morning, but the first female Secretary of State was very strong, very good diplomat. I believe she was in the Clinton administration. So yeah,
Madeleine Albright.
thank you.
Madeleine Albright.
I
Right.
had the picture of her in my head or my eyes, but yeah, and Madeleine Albright. I don't think there was anything weak about Madeleine Albright, quite frankly. No, so I don't think it really matters. But I do like the idea of having mixed parties trying to cross that political divide in your cabinet. I think that's extremely smart, and I hope the everyone she picks puts their political party second and the country first. And I'd almost say, in my viewpoint, put the world first, put the country second, and put your political party third. But again, I'm getting on my soapbox.
So tomorrow morning's show at 8 o'clock California will go into teams and any other topic that anybody wants to talk about. Mehibe, thank you so much for your time. Atika, thank you again for being involved. Stephen, have a great day.
Thank you.
Ken, enjoy. Oh, by the way, in case it's a new audience out here, Ken and his family have welcomed a new granddaughter, just born the other day.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Thanks for being
Great
on the
conversation, and it
Yeah.
was amazing. Thank you, Stephen,
Well,
Ken,
I
Mehibe.
loved this is not work. I love this. This is great. Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Mehibe.
Lovely to meet you all.
Thanks to all of you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Be
Thank you.
You too.
I'll send
Bye-bye.
you all the program tonight.
bye all.
Bye.